straight from the beginning, I've never felt more of a better culture within a club, to be honest. I've been around for nearly 30 years playing football, and this club's definitely a different club to most.
Is this now a springboard to, I hate to use the word, but save the season?
I wouldn't say so much save the season. I think it's more looking forward to seeing how this season ends for us.
In-house, not one thing has been said about them. We're trying to focus on what we can do.
I ask you this again. Where are you guys finishing?
Look, I think
I think we're all a bit shocked, super disappointed in that performance. That was probably one where we were maybe a little bit complacent.
Very, very talented defender. I'd say probably one of the better centre backs in the league.
Do you think you can make top 4 this year?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I think, look, whatever tactics they have, or back 5, counter attack, whatever they're going to sort of do, I think we can sort of nullify that.
And even from last year, I remember round 1 against Kellyville was 14-0. To then round 1 this year was 5-0. To take it to 2-1 is incredible.
But I feel like me, alongside with all the girls, we have 4 girls coming in from 18s every week.
Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome back to the Blacktown Premier League podcast. My name is 𝗪𝗜𝗚𝗘𝗘. Thank you so much for being here, but more importantly, thank you for helping us crack 1,000 views on the mid-season review podcast. And to reward you, this weekend's match of the round, 7 p.m. Saturday at Blacktown Football Park, is going to be one of the juiciest of the entire season. So, press like on this podcast if you're excited, you know exactly who's playing, and cue the intro music.
Here come Workers on!
But it's fallen here towards Icon!
Oh my word.
To find her teammate in Izzy Grant! And now played and struck and in! People, Ryan Dominici! Further forward now, Tangira!
We're all ready to play, and yeah, we'll go out and smoke it this time.
Tigers versus Riverstone could decide many, many things. I know that we're only just tipping past the halfway point of the season, but allow me to explain. From 4th place to probably last place, anyone could finish anywhere. That's not a joke. That's not Mark the media man trying to hype it up. It's the mathematical truth, and on the eye test, it's the truth too. Tigers have just notched their first win of the season, and it wasn't just a smash and grab, as you're about to find out when we talk to them in the interview segment. It was a 4-0 thumping of the team that are in 4th place right now. Riverstone got a win last night, their first since the match of the round, in their first match since the match of the round. Apparently they've made some signings. You're going to hear about them tonight on the interview segment as well. And boom, all of a sudden, they're in top 4 contention. They were looking down the barrel of last place just a couple of seconds ago. You all know that at this point, because I can't watch every single game, I go off of a lot of opinions of people that I hear, speak to, discourse in our public sphere. The public sphere is telling me that this is the most competitive, the highest quality league, not just that we've ever had, but that has happened in, pick a kilometre, that radius of anywhere around here. This is the pinnacle of local football. The comp is exceptional, the players are exceptional, the coaches are getting better year on year, and the players are coming from all over the gaff to try and make this comp even better. And guess what? The media is pretty good too. So, let's get into some results quickly, then we can talk to the teams, because that's really what we want to see. Let's begin now. Women's Premier League results have been utterly fantastic. After having a 9 from 9 start to start the season, Holroyd have now dropped 4 points from their last 6. On Wednesday night, that being last night, they drew 2-2 with Kellyville Colts at home. They'll also be the match of the round this weekend, by the way. And in the match of the round just gone by, they drew 3-3 with Ropes Crossing. An incredible footballing game. Ropes took the lead. Rebecca Horgan brought it back. Ropes took the lead again. Rebecca Horgan brought it back. Rebecca Horgan then put them in front for the first time in the game. And then to make it 3-3, Ropes equalised, the points shared in a bonkers afternoon at Ropes Crossing Reserve. Quakers Tigers went down to Kellyville Colts 2-1, a very, very narrow score there. Parkley lost to Norwest 3-0 in a really harrowing result for them. Rouse Hill Rams went down 3-0 to Quakers Hill Junior, another great result for the Quakers Juniors girls, who have now actually jumped up to first place on the table despite having a game in hand on Holroyd. But, you've got to be in it to win it. Sophia Greck scored, Marion Schroeder scored before she got a second one, did Marion. Ponds also picking up their first win of the season thanks to 𝗪𝗚𝗚𝗘𝗧𝗪 and 𝗪𝗓𝗚𝗃 getting on the score sheet. It is a huge, huge result for them. Super, super happy for the Ponds girls. They've obviously been able to put together a 90-minute performance for perhaps maybe the first time this whole season, and look what it's done for them. Hugely, hugely impressive result for them, and a massive congratulations to them. Maybe the project is starting to hit the nail on the head at the halfway point of the season. In the Blacktown Premier League 2, of course, Blacktown St Pat's went down 4-2 to Glenwood in one of the games of the round already, but I tell you what, there's a pretty important one coming up in just a sec. Arslan Mangal picked up 2 goals abrace, then Benjamin Inns picked up a hat-trick, and then 𝗪𝗓𝗚𝗛𝗓 topped it off in the 71st minute to make it 4-2. So St Pat's were in the lead, had a 2-goal lead, and then conceded 4 unanswered goals. What a crazy, crazy game. This was last night, by the way. They also played on Sunday and lost 3-0 to Newbury Bulls, who out of nowhere have gone top of the table. Glenwood on Saturday, by the way, played out a 5-all. Yes, 5-all tie with Spurs, a goal in the 4th. And then, not until the second half did it then explode. A 9-goal second half. Ben Inns, Robert Gibbs, Adnan Youssef, Ravi Parlevi, Harry Ngal, Giuseppe Fabiano. Benjamin Inns then made it 4-all. Adnan Youssef, 3 minutes into stoppage time, made it 5-4 to Spurs, who thought they won it before Benjamin Inns picked up another goal to round out a hat-trick and to make it 5-all. Crazy game. Man, imagine that was the match of the round. I would have absolutely lost my voice. First grade on Wednesday night, Ponds beat Quakers Hill Juniors 4-2. Riverstone, as we mentioned as well, have also picked up a big win over Eastern Creek 1-0. That was very, very good there, courtesy of Lorenzo Rodriguez. As we've already mentioned as well, Quakers Hill Tigers 4-0 winners over Workers. Eastern Creek actually won and beat Ponds on the weekend to win 2-1. And 𝗪𝗓𝗏𝗪𝗏𝗡 versus Marion in what could have, should have, but wasn't the match of the round. A 3-2 win for the Hawks, which keeps Marion in first place, but now there's only 2 points in it. This title race is going to be fantastic. And as the highlights come to a close and you see me awkwardly put my phone in this stupidly tight non-flared pocket, let's come back to what is important. I don't want to delay any further. This is going to be one of the most important match of the rounds of the weekend. Sorry, not of the weekend, of the entire season, because of what it could lead to. Can Tigers springboard off their win and now mount a mid-season table charge, or even perhaps go higher? It is mathematically a possibility. Could Rivo come from here and find themselves, if results go their way, find themselves in the top 4? Literally, it could happen. They only need 2 points. They're on 9. Workers are on 11. It literally could happen. From 4th underneath, I promise you, have a look at the table. In fact, I might even try and remember to put it up right here. Look at this table. It is completely, completely unpredictable. So I said I don't want to waste any more time. Let's not do it. We're going straight into a chat with the Tigers, by the way. This is more about them. Can they springboard up and away from the danger zone? Here with the Quakers Hill Tigers boys, who are riding the wave of a massive victory and one that could springboard their season. This is Charles Portelli, Aaron Blacker, as you already know, Nico Magias, and Steve Deeth is here as well. 3 of them making their podcast debuts. Steve's is certainly long overdue. Aaron, I want to go straight to you. That was not a smash and grab victory over Workers. That wasn't a sit back and defend. That was a go and get it. That was a pasting on your end. What on earth changed?
Whether anyone wants to believe this or not, I think internally this has been coming for a few weeks now. We haven't quite put together 90 minutes, but I think that all changed on the weekend. A few tactical things we tweaked, but at the end of the day I think it was just a belief in how much we got around each other. In terms of that game, biggest things for us was taking our chances. We had a few good chances and we put them away, and we put them away early, and then just stop leaking those silly goals. We've been conceding quite soft goals lately, off set pieces, that sort of stuff. So when you put all that together, and it come away with a good win, so it felt nice.
Let's just go off the back of that as well. Keep the microphone with you. Was there a point a couple of weeks ago where you went, okay, we're starting to turn a corner here?
I think it was more just periods in games. Like I look at, for example, quite a while ago, that 𝗪𝗓𝗪𝗓 second half, that performance was pretty good. We've been putting together periods of games that are quite quality, but we haven't yet been able to do it for 90 minutes. I think that whole thing of once you're down on form, things don't seem to go your way, a few calls don't go your way, bounce of the ball doesn't go your way, and that can sort of, everyone gets a bit frustrated quickly. So I think it just all came together on the weekend, and we played for each other, and we played for the badge for 90 minutes, and that was the difference. Good to hear.
Charles, you're new to the comp this year, new to this club, and new to this podcast here tonight. From when you joined in pre-season and to the point where you sung the team song after the victory in first grade, how much camaraderie has been built up since day one and to now?
Well, I think, firstly, coming into this team new this season, straight from the beginning, I've never felt more of a better culture within a club, to be honest. I've been around for nearly 30 years playing football, and this club's definitely a different club to most. It's been building all year. To be honest, after winning the weekend's game, for some of us, it almost felt like a grand final win. Like, it was crazy. Like Aaron said, in games, it's not like we've been out of games all year round. We've definitely been in games for glimpses of it. But to put a whole 90-minute performance in, it was very pleasing. I think it was just all-round solid performance from everyone. So it was good.
That's one thing that I've sort of talked about with Tigers players in the past, particularly Kempy, who was on the Women's Premier League Match of the Round podcast interview just prior to this. But it was always about putting together 90-minute performances. I'm sure you would sort of remember early days when that was a bit of a struggle, and it's good to see that that's growing. Steve, I want you to grab the microphone, my friend. On the contrary, you've been here among this squad for a long time. I think this is your 10th, this is your decade year, if I'm not mistaken.
11 years at the club now.
11, there you go. Congratulations to you. Now, you've played everyone once now. You've already played the first half of the season. From what you pulled together against Workers, is this now a springboard to, I hate to use the word, but save the season?
I wouldn't say so much save the season. I think it's more looking forward to seeing how this season ends for us. I mean, yes, you're right, springboard it probably is the better answer for us. Run of form hasn't been so great. Now we're looking at taking the positives from the weekend's game to get on top of how we want to play now and everyone in between. So hopefully from that we can string a few more goals, a few more games, a few more wins. It'd be nice to put some points on the board.
In terms of the feeling, you've obviously survived the promotion days, the nearly promotion days. You've been here for all of that in the senior space, which I think compared to these two here, can't sort of talk about it from the senior perspective because you were the one who was out in the field putting on club championship points. The feeling of last week, I don't think it was the best feeling ever, I would imagine, but in terms of that 4-0, in terms of what it could mean, how did it feel for you?
For me, it felt like it was a grand final win against Polonia. Like the way that the lads have been building up to play the game against Workers, and we knew coming into the game it was going to be a hard game for us to play. Know that the lads got positive throughout warm-up, positive talk during the game and how we played. We could see that we were latching on to how they wanted to go and just things went our way, and it was nice to get the 3 points on the board.
Nico, welcome to the podcast as well. You're one of the many young crop that have come into the senior space in the last couple of years but are really being relied upon this season in particular. Do you feel, I'm not asking you to speak on behalf of anybody else, but do you feel that there's a bit of pressure on you younger guys to be men quite early in your football careers?
Not really. I think, especially me, Aaron, and a few of the Tigers boys have, come up through here. So we've spent years in this system, being brought up through different coaches, and now mostly through Taryn for the past few years. I think we've been prepared for this moment for a while now, and we've all come into this season and taken our chances, and at that point it's not about age. You just go onto the field and do your job and you do what's asked of you, and that's what we're going to do for the rest of the season as well. Week in, week out, we'll put on the performances and we'll keep winning games.
Good enough, you're old enough. I want you to keep that microphone actually. Just a throwback to the Marion match of the round, which I do want to touch on now. There was a point in the game where you guys were starting to build a bit of momentum, even though the scoreline wasn't quite in your favour. You then get very close to scoring a goal, and I don't need to run the replay because it went everywhere, but Scotty Whalen cops a boot to the head. I don't actually mind who answers this. It can be you, Nico, it can be anybody, but what was your reaction when you watched that back on replay, guys?
It's a tough watch, honestly. Like, there's some things that you realistically don't want your referees to miss. But that being said, at the same time, we're in that position at, I believe it was probably 3-1, 4-1 at the time. So, we put ourselves in that position as much as we want to get back into the game, and, silly decisions like that cost us in a way, but there's also chances for us to do it ourselves. We conceded goals pretty quickly in that little period in that second half, and I think if we just tighten up, we don't have to leave it up to the referees who, you know, we can't always rely on to make the right decision, you know.
Aaron, let's talk about not the last match of the round, but this match of the round coming up. Rivo, not in a great run of form at the moment. Their last 5 games has 1 win. So does yours, but yours was just recently. Theirs was 5 games ago. It's not been a great run for them. They obviously had a pretty poor match of the round showing where they lost the game in an 8-minute stretch where 3 goals went in against them. They also had a pretty good game against you in the first round of the season. So for this to be the restart of your draw, there's a lot of motivating factors for you guys to have a psychological edge over them. It's also a really important time because you can leapfrog both them and Polonia if results go your way. So in terms of importance, I know we're at the halfway point or just tipping over it, but how important is this one specifically?
Yeah, not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a huge match. I think in-house, not one thing has been said about them. We're trying to focus on what we can do. Our sessions have been good the last couple of weeks. We've been working hard, changing a few things. So yeah, definitely working on what we need to do. But the biggest thing is, like, yes, that win was nice. We enjoyed it. We spoke a lot about enjoying the feeling, but don't get carried away because at the end of the day, that means nothing if we can't back it up this weekend. We don't want to be the team who can produce one of the best performances one week and not so good the next. So the biggest thing for us is take that confidence, but don't take this game for granted. Doesn't matter who we're playing, play the game we need to do.
Charles, I wanted to grab that microphone because I know, and the first time I was introduced to you actually was watching you feature in a reserve grade game. So I know you have fluctuated in between here and there. I know that in recent weeks, a couple of games have been lost very, very late on. And for the reserve graders, that must be frustrating. This River reserve grade team is very good. And in order to get max club championship points and, potentially rejuvenate your season, you're going to have to hope for some points in reserve grade. So what's the key to locking up in resis, do you think, from the reserve grade perspective? And, how important, sort of back on Aaron's answer, how important is this weekend for you?
Well, I think for a club collectively, like Aaron touched on, it's a very important game. Regardless of their form, our form, on paper, it's very important. From a reserve perspective, I actually played in the reserve grade in the first round of the season against Rivo, and we were actually up that game, I think, and we lost it in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so, 2-1, I think, if I remember correctly. And to be honest, that's been the story of reserve grade all year. We haven't really got hammered in any games, I don't think. We've been in the games like the whole time. It's just one of those things. We just lapse a bit of concentration, and we score a goal, and then they bounce back within a few minutes later. So we've just got to correct that in reserve grade, and we have talked about it internally. The boys have shown great attitude, like very positive attitude. It's just that's how football goes sometimes, unfortunately, and we've seen in first grade for us boys that played. We did turn the corner for that one game only, but like Aaron said, that's in the past now. We've got to move forward and keep building on that.
Steve, do you think if both resis and first grade were sort of going through a bit of a nearly there kind of thing, for first grade to finally have that win, and it wasn't just getting over the line, it was emphatic, do you think that could now potentially inspire reserve grade to just click into gear?
Yes, I do say so. I think the boys would be looking to fight to come up to take some of the first grader spots, knowing that how good of a game that we can play, and the people that are playing in certain positions, and they think they can come through and fight for spots. I think it'll get their butts into gear, and hopefully they can string a few results their way.
I know we spoke about... Sorry to interrupt at the end. Did you want to add anything on?
You go.
I know that we just spoke about Rivo and reserve grade. Let's stick purely to first grade now. What happened in that Rivo round 1 game? It was a 5-2. You guys actually opened the scoring that day. Damo scored the first goal of the season, and then it sort of just unravelled from there. If you could cast your mind back, what happened in that sense?
I didn't play that game, so...
Sorry, I had no idea. No, let's pass that on.
Started well. Obviously, opened the scoring, I think, within 15 minutes or so. We actually had a disallowed goal to make it 2-0. And then sort of a minute or so before half-time, we conceded the first one. And that was a dagger, especially last 5 minutes before half-time. Terrible time to concede, given that we could have been up 2-0. And then second half, it was pretty poor, to be honest. Like, I think out of all our performances this year, we probably look at that one and say that that was our weakest performance. We conceded goals in clumps. We conceded set pieces again. I think it got to 2-1, and then I'm pretty sure it was 4-1 within 5 minutes. So
that was our worst.
Yeah, that was the story of the day,
worst
and
game,
definitely the worst performance of the year.
Nico, I go to you. I know I've mentioned already the first grade Riverstone form. Recently, 4 losses on the bounce for them. You guys have just had this big win. Do you come into this one as favourites, in your opinion, and does that do anything for you, confidence-wise?
I wouldn't say that really matters. Maybe some people view it that way, maybe some people don't. I think throughout the season, a lot of people have had their opinions on us, and we haven't cared. So, we keep driving every week based on how we are in-house. There's a culture here that we pride ourselves on, and that drives us every week. And like Aaron said, whether people want to admit it or not, it was coming. And we're going to keep carrying this momentum, and we're going to look forward to this game, and we're going to play it the way we want to play it, and we'll see where we land at the end of it.
Charles, just from a mentality perspective, you as, sometimes I hate to say this, as a senior player, you have experience, which I think is a better way to say it. You've been here, you've been there and done that in the football world. With where the club is in the club championship table, it's impossible not to talk about it when we come onto these podcasts, but it is a great time to have these conversations because you've obviously just had that win and momentum's in your favour. But I do just have to ask, when you guys are sort of approaching each game week, are you thinking about, is your mentality we need to turn this around to lift ourselves, or is it more just we want to win because this is the system we play and we believe in the system? What is the mentality of the Tigers heading into each game week? Because I think there's a difference there.
I think it's more leaning towards, like, we want to win the way we want to win. Obviously you win, it boosts morale in the team, it boosts confidence and whatnot, but I mean, we can't say, like, we've lost, a lot of our games this year, but we haven't been down in confidence, we've bounced back every week. We want to play the way we want to play. We believe in 𝗪𝗓's structure. She's made, I believe, all the right calls all year round. It's purely on us players. We've just lacked concentration, and that's just the way it's been. But I think Aaron or Nico touched on before, the age and senior and young players in this group, it doesn't really matter. Like, a lot of these younger players have got maturity beyond these. I know I'm one of the older fellas in the team, but I haven't been playing much first grade this year, and that goes to show, like, all these younger fellas have held their spot, So mentality-wise, I think this club is in a very good position. You can't take that away from them.
Last 2 questions. Steve, I'll actually go to you for this one. Mentioned there about 𝗪𝗓's way and what she implements. And I do wonder, mainly because I just made a whole podcast about what teams are doing, but not to specifically reference that, but one of the suggestions or observations I had was that maybe just playing sort of more attacking football, and then just so happened to go and score 4 goals on the weekend. So has that always been the system, or was there kind of a clear change on the weekend that led to that result in particular?
It hasn't always been the system. This year she was more focused on trying to keep the ball at our feet and move it around a bit. Lately it's just been 1 or 2 tweaks, a couple of boys in different positions just to try them out there to see how it goes and then get the ball moving forward. Lately she's just been wonders with how pointing people around the park and to move them forward and to get pressing a bit more, and that's how a few of our goals have come, and it's been working wonders with how she's done it.
A couple of big personnel changes and a couple of tactical changes perhaps, but certainly the mentality has always been strong. Aaron, finish us off. I asked you this last time, I asked you this again. Where are you guys finishing?
Look, I think halfway through the season, still a lot to play for. I have no doubt that we're going to build off that, string a few wins together, and looking at a strong mid-table finish.
Certainly looking stronger than when we even spoke to them just a couple of weeks ago, inside a month ago. It's good to see that the mentality here and the spirits here are still very strong, and what they could build and perhaps springboard off the back of last week's result over Workers, the 4-0, of course. could give us a very, very interesting run into the season. Anything is possible, especially when you wear a Quakers Tigers jersey. Boys, thanks very much for being on the podcast tonight. I do appreciate it. Riding the wave of a high, yes, but did they know that Riverstone had won their game to take them pretty clear of where they are on the table? No, they didn't. That's what makes this next interview so interesting, because it's here on a Thursday night and it's been 24 hours since they finished their game. So we're going to ask them all the questions, including the questions about their match of the round loss to Bologna, where you might remember they lost it in a 6-minute stint where they conceded 3 goals in those 6 minutes and just couldn't find a way back into the game despite a late penalty by 𝗧𝗘𝗓𝗪. So we're going to ask them about that, ask them what they've learned since then, and talk about a couple of their big signings. Let's chat about it. Hey, just in between these 2 interview segments, by the way, for the boys, please don't forget to leave a like, because a like is how I know that you are actually enjoying what you're saying. Some of you might just tune in for the sake of tuning in to just see what I'm saying about your team, but a like is an actual reflection, an actual symbol that you are enjoying the content. So please, if you are enjoying the content and you appreciate the effort that's going into this, please do remember to leave a like. Much love. Rivo come here tonight, only 1 game after their match of the round loss, but that 1 game just so happened to be last night, and it was a win over Creek. You're joined here tonight by Chris Mansos for the first time, Aaron Thomas, formerly of Park Lee, for the first time, Jeff Bogdan, the coach who you know, and Solomon Lado directly to my left as well. Boys, thanks very much for being here. I do appreciate it. A huge win over Creek in the context of your season, and now you're 2 points outside of the finals, Jeff. But there were some signings that have come in the last couple of days. So run me through them and how they performed last night.
Yeah, look, it was a good win last night. I think it was well deserved. It's probably, after 4 losses, it was pretty challenging at the moment. But yeah, that win last night, yeah, definitely helped us and can hopefully progress us, into the coming weeks. A couple of signings that have come in. We've got a new centre back, a new winger, and another winger actually. So won't mention any names at the moment. They might make a debut on Saturday night, and we'll let Tigers work them out themselves.
Well, if the boys want to go and have a look on Dribble to see who they're coming up against, they certainly can do that. But let's keep it a mystery until then and put the boys to work. Aaron, grab that microphone for me. Look, I know that it's been a couple of years since you left Park Lee, but you're something of an icon there. You picked up match of the round goals aplenty when you were playing as sort of an attacking midfielder. Just give us all some closure, like a desperate ex. Why did you decide to leave and how did you end up here?
So I know Shane Burge, the president of Rivo for some time now. Really good mates with the boys at Park Lee. Still close with them. And it was just time for a change. Still enjoy a beer with them here and there over the weekends. But yeah, looking forward to just a different atmosphere here at Rivo, and a great bunch of blokes as well that got to know really well over the last couple of years.
As we said, a match of the round goal scorer, a very creative midfielder. Someone who's looked at as a very high quality player in the comp, but now you've shifted into a centre back. At least the last match of the round told us that. But I heard there might have been something of a change last night. What can you reveal about your potential new position as the season rolls on?
Yeah, I'm getting old, mate. 33, so I can't move at the 10 role. Just slowly going backwards this year. But yeah, played in the 6 role. Skipper Jacko was out last night, so fitted in there. Lasted the 90, which was good. Looking forward again to the rest of the season as we go on.
Solomon, you really caught my eye at the start of the season when you picked up a goal in round 1. I didn't know who you were prior to that, but good to see you picking up some goals. You were then really good in the match of the round, which is why I picked you last week as sort of my star player in the mid-season review podcast. But I hear you're also a JD model on the side. So what's it like balancing 2 lives?
How does this guy know? I don't know. No, it's calm. It doesn't really clash. So it's all right.
Good. I'm just trying to bug you, man. It's all good. Let's actually talk about the match of the round a little bit as well. You put up a really good chance for 𝗧𝗘𝗓𝗓 in the first couple of minutes. Maybe you should have taken that. He didn't. You then came off after 20 or 30 minutes. So what happened to you there?
I got an injury, I strained my groin and stuff. So I had to come off, so I'm going to be out for a bit. But the boys are doing well right now. Everyone's picking up pace. Everyone's finding their confidence in their feet, so it's looking good.
Tell us a little bit about you in terms of where you've come from to find this Riverstone team. Where did you play last year or the years prior to that? And are you naturally sort of a number 10?
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily play last year. I just played tournament. And then I used to play right when I was younger with Jackson, the captain. So then just ended up here, and then it's just more comfortable being around boys, you know.
Jeff, let's actually talk about the match of the round now, and Chris, I promise we'll get to you in just a sec. But let's get over the hard questions first. I don't want to beride you on your debut too badly. A 6-minute spell where the game just rips away from you, and now in hindsight, you could have been in the top 4 had you have won a game that maybe on paper you should have. So when you lose a game in 6 minutes like that, after being arguably the better team, who does the responsibility fall on in a situation like that?
Yeah, good question. I think that match and probably that 6 minutes sums up the start of our season, where we play such good football, we're in games, we miss chances, the other team gets a chance to sniff and they score 1. And at this point, I guess, Polonia scored 3, which is unfortunate. So, yeah, look, I think we're all a bit shocked, super disappointed in that performance. That was probably one where we were maybe a little bit complacent. We started off first 20 minutes on top and it was cruising, and then, yeah, as you said, that 6-minute period where we just got ripped to shreds. So, but look, massive credit to Polonia, they played well, but I think, yeah, that was a big disappointment for us. And as you say, if we look back on hindsight, we could have been sitting in 4th after last night's win as well. So, yeah, look, at the moment, it came down to moments, I think, for the first 6 weeks, and yesterday I think the boys deserved that win. We took a moment, which we needed to, and we got the 3 points yesterday. So, yeah, we'll hopefully build on that and work on that for Saturday.
Chris, welcome to the podcast. Biggest calves in the league, I've been told as well. Isn't that awesome for you? A couple of revealing things on the podcast tonight for all the boys here. But just in terms of the way I actually noticed you when that sort of 6 minutes happened, your body language is quite verbose, I should say. And it was easy to tell that you were quite frustrated with that. Considering that you guys are a very good team and performing well, maybe not having put the goals on the board in the first half of the season, maybe now that's starting to change after the win last night. Do you feel like you've come into a lot of games this year, and even though you've played better, you haven't got the points yet?
Yeah, I mean, touching your point there, there is the frustration of, I suppose, the lack of goals, whereas we're creating moments, like Jeff's saying, we're not necessarily taking them. But now the injection of the win from last night is a real boost and a real lift for the squad. Getting that win, like you mentioned, we're only 1 win off the top 4. So now it's just about taking that momentum into Saturday, hopefully getting another 3 points there, and then making that push to the Final 4.
So another Mansos boy in the team. That's one name I will reveal. Sorry, Jeff, about that, but it's worth mentioning. Your brother's come in. Tell us a little bit about him, if you could speak on behalf of him, and what does he bring, in your opinion?
Yeah, he's like Jeff mentioned, he's the centre back. So he will now shouldn't be starting most games. He's probably the tallest bloke in the team, I'd say. So I suppose that gives us an aerial threat. Very good in the air, which we had none of. But yeah, very very talented defender. I'd say probably one of the better centre backs in the league. But to have a player like his calibre come in is a real boost for the team and our defence.
One thing that River have struggled through with years gone by is actually tightening up in defence. In match of the round games particularly, it seems like a curse sometimes. To have 2 brothers lining up in the defence must be good, because you guys surely must communicate well. So what's your history of playing together, if any? Yeah,
we've played together once last year, which was just at our childhood club. That's pretty much all. We just went back and played Premier League at a different association, just as a favour basically. But the communication's a bit 50-50. Sometimes it's abuse rather than communication, given our relationship. But it's good. Like I said, it's easier. Obviously a lot of us are close in this team, so you want to play for your mates. And obviously wanting to play for my brother played for me. It's an added bonus, so it's awesome.
Well said. Jeff, grab that mic for me. When you bring in players midway through the season, obviously it can have adverse effects if it's not managed properly, because you're essentially saying to some parts of the team, I trusted you for the first half of the season, maybe I don't trust you as much now, or maybe we need depth because our depth isn't good enough. So how are you managing bringing in a couple of players, particularly straight into the first team, when you've got a set 11 prior to this? You've had a set 11, I should say.
Yeah, good question. I think that's always a juggle as a coach, bringing in a new player and also managing 32 boys/children as well. So it's always a challenge. But look, anyone that comes into the team, we said it from pre-season, we're a squad where, if you're playing well, you're going to get your opportunity. If you're not performing, you'll be in reserve grade. And look, reserve grade's performing really well. Big shout out to them. They're, obviously sitting first from a couple of days ago, then lost to Ponds. But yeah, look, they've been playing some really good football. But I think, bringing in new players, they're going to get a spell in reserve grade. They'll come off the bench, which we injected 2 guys yesterday from the bench, played 20-30 minutes, but also mixing a lot of players around too. We've had, like, Aaron is playing centre back, then he's moved into 6. We've had different right back, left back. We've played different 10s. We had Danny Salinas on the bench yesterday as well. Just mixing things around a bit, and we're just trying to see what works, what's not. But I think it's just that kick up the arse that we sort of need, and the boys need as well. Just, you know, instead of being complacent, everyone's working for their spot. So we've learned that from pre-season. The vibe's really good here. Everyone gets along. And I guess, look, being around different teams, seeing teams, hearing about teams, after 4 losses, you know, a lot of teams will explode or point fingers, want to leave, etc. But these boys are stuck together. They've worked probably harder than they have after we get the wins. They want to work hard to get that next win, the next goal. And yeah, this vibe and culture we've got here we're building is, yeah, pretty good. And we've still got boys wanting to join as well. So it's hard to fit everybody in, but I think the vibe and culture and what we're looking to do here is, yeah, a big positive.
Hint, hint. Solomon, just on the point that I heard your coach say just then is that you've got Nick George, you've got Salinas, you've got all these really talented number 10 central players as well, one of them, of course, being you as well. I mean, even Gurgis, I'm sure, could push into that space if he wanted to, even though he's a more natural 8. What's it like competing with so many other like really brilliant number 10s? And are you sort of learning off each other, and is it good friendly competition?
Yeah, I reckon it's good because like we're all like versatile. We can all like move around different parts of the pitch. So like even when we play together, we don't really clash. And like if either of one of us are on the bench, we can come on and make a difference. So like it's just a bonus for the team, anyways.
Aaron, Tigers this weekend are obviously riding the wave of not just a scrapey first win of the season, but a pretty emphatic first win of the season. A 4-0 win over fourth place Workers, who strangely enough beat you 4-0 earlier in the season. So this comp is just crazy how it's sort of what goes around comes around at the moment. But obviously I recorded with them last night, so that was before I knew what your result was. But as you see when you watch it back, they're quite happy with things. But you've kind of moved into a different part of the table now where you're competing into the finals spots with your win. So in terms of playing against a team who are riding a wave, what's the main motivation for you and your boys now, considering where you are on the table? And are you even slightly motivated by the chance of sticking it to a team who are struggling?
Yeah, look, I mean, you said it before. The comp is, other than you look at Mariong Doonside up 1-2, then you put Ponds in there, and it's the rest of us all fighting for that 4th spot. Yeah, Quakers put 4 on Workers put 4 on us. So, yeah, we'll be treating Saturday like a must win. Last night means nothing if we don't win on Saturday. And that's the message that the boys have discussed already. So we'll just be there come Saturday night, making sure that we put in a performance to get the 3 points and make our mark.
Do you take into consideration the fact that this team might play differently to the first time that you played against them in round 1? This is the first game of the second half of the draw, really. This was your round 1 team, you're playing them again. And obviously they've just won that game. So could be a very different team than what you came up against early in the season.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I think they probably a win was a long time coming for them, and well done to them. But like I said, for us, I mean, we're not worried about Quakers Tigers. We're worried about us. And the message is 3 points on Saturday night, and we'll go from there week to week.
Solomon, you could realistically exit round 9 in a final spot if results go your way. If Workers drop out, if Quakers don't have a great game, you could be up there in finals, which is a total turnaround of your season. Yeah. Just off the back of that, do you think you can make top 4 this year?
Yeah, hell yeah.
And off of what you've seen from the first half of the draw, what makes you believe that?
No, we've got a bunch of talented boys. You know, it's just all about just gelling and like all learning how to play together. And it's not easy like when we had a lot of boys missing and some coming in. But like now everything's slowly coming to place, so yeah, not really worried about that. Okay.
Off the way that you guys played last night, if your team played like that every night, where do you think you could realistically finish?
We'll definitely be in the top 4.
Okay. Chris, I want to go to you. Do you think Riverstone are going to go a little bit under the radar for the rest of the season? I think maybe perhaps even myself, I sort of underestimated what you guys were capable of. Do you think you're getting the respect you deserve from the competition?
I think, yeah, but at the end of the day, like you touched on before, this competition, you never know. Everyone seems to be taking points from everyone, dropping points, gaining points. But I think the start of the season for us was just about gelling. We had a lot of new boys coming in, so we needed a bit of time to sort of gel, get that chemistry. And now, you know, the first round's complete. We're on to the second phase of the season, and now it's time for us to really kick into gear. And I mean, people can think what they want. I guess, like Aaron said, we just got to worry about us and just try to take as many points as we can.
What's the biggest learning point past the first round of the season now? What is either one moment in a game or one game as a whole, could be the match of the round, where you look at and go, I can't wait to rectify that in the second half of the season? Is there a moment that comes to you?
I mean, every game that we've played in, I think we've been competitive. I don't think we've been pumped or steamrolled in a game, despite the scorelines. Obviously, that's the main thing at the end of the day. But I think our performances in most games have been good, barring Polonia. So, I mean, I guess the thing that we want to rectify is the results. You know, good performances, putting in good performances means nothing at the end of the day if you don't win. So.
Jeff, bit of a bump up here for you, but I just want to put a hypothetical out there. And this is where conversations like this begin to start in the second half of the season, because you've already learnt about the team after round one. If you bump this team into fourth place, or even higher potentially, after a couple of calamitous performances in the last couple of years at times, if you do that in what is your debut season as a coach, being a relative outsider, and people starting to learn about you, you could probably put yourself into all-star contention. So I wanted to know, if you were to win Coach of the Year, or perhaps you want to convince people to vote for you for Coach of the Year, what would be your pitch at this point of the season, and what kind of team would you want to create come that kind of day?
It's a interesting question. Look, hypothetical. Look, yeah, that's all well and done. I just want to stay humble and do the best job I can here with these boys. That's probably the most important thing for me. I've got no focus or aspirations to do that, but if that was to come, I'd be very humbled. And there's a lot of talented coaches in this competition anyway, so I wouldn't compare myself to them or think that I'm better than them. There's a lot of guys who have been around here for a long time and have been and done it a lot longer than I have. Debut season, and if that does happen, great. I'll take all the accolades, but I'll take them on the back of what Rivo's doing here and what the boys are, because whatever they do, that's just whatever they do.
Humble.
Arnie slot, mate.
Yeah. I'm a Chelsea fan, so don't be silly.
Hey, Aaron, speaking of Liverpool and 𝗓𝗓 Slot, one thing they did at the start of the season was they really strengthened their spine, and Ryan Gravenberch became the best sixth in the league. I said that, while Roger was injured, I said that in my review podcast last week that I think you needed to strengthen your spine. You pushing into the six was an example of perhaps that happening, a strengthening of the spine of your team. What is one thing that this Riverstone team has that's stand out above other teams in the competition, and what's one thing that you think still needs to be sort of worked on if you want to make that final spot?
Yeah, look, I mean, coming in, obviously it's round two. We start round two this week, but we've got a solid bunch, 32 blokes that just want to play and just want to win. We've really created a culture over the last couple of years, and that's evident. Been evident even through the rough patches. So, there's things that we need to work on, which we know we know what they are, and it all starts on Saturday night.
Not willing to reveal what that weakness might be? Okay, just things to work on. I'm sure we can observe. Jeff, I want to go to you one more time as well. This will be your last question, but just off the back of that, Tigers themselves, you've played against them, you've watched them. What have you observed from them, and what's the way to get around them?
Yeah, look, we played them first round, and first round. We had a great win. We scored some good goals, and we played some good football. They were probably going to say they weren't at their best, but neither were we. But I think now we're starting to kick into gear, and I think, look, whatever tactics they have, or back five, counter attack, whatever they're going to sort of do, I think we can sort of nullify that. We were under pressure a lot yesterday night for the first 20 minutes. We weren't troubled at all, so I think we were pretty comfortable yesterday for most of the 90 minutes, and I think we just got to do the same thing, focus on our own game. We play to a certain style, but we also play off the cuff as well, so you sometimes don't know what to expect, neither do I sitting on the bench. So I think that's the exciting thing about this group. They can pull anything out of the bag at certain times, and when it's needed, I think we have to capitalise, as I said, on our front three, our middles. We all have to work for those moments and just take them when they come.
Solomon, I go to you, your last question, and that is, obviously we talked about the league being tight and the chance to break into the top four, but also Tigers could very easily beat you guys and then put themselves into a mid-table position very, very quickly, and the table could flip once again. Is there any worry within this playing group that you guys might not find that gear that you're trying to click into and might still stagnate and not bounce off that win last night?
No, I don't think there's any worry. We take every game serious at the end of the day. We're not worried about anyone else, but we're just going to do what we have to do every game. Make sure we get the 3 points and move forward.
Chris, last question goes to you. I would like a match of the round prediction, and then follow it up with where you think you'll finish at the end of the season.
I'll say 4-1 River.
No clean sheet?
No.
So disappointing.
And I'll say we'll finish top 4. We might even slip into 3rd.
Okay, there we go. Could even slip into 3rd. They did say on the first podcast that they featured on that they could very well finish in the top 4, and now they're going to bump themselves up one higher, maybe even. This comp is extremely tight, and these River boys might just be finding their feet come the second half of the season. There is 21 points, and then of course a bye as well to accommodate, up for grabs at the end by the end of this season, and that could flip anyone anywhere on this table. Boys, thanks so much for joining me here in the Cold tonight. Really do appreciate it. I said it the last time that they were on, that was a team that was reverberating, oozing confidence, and I think I have to say the same thing again, but this time it seems more backed up, and coming from a couple more of the senior players now, like Aaron Thomas being a senior player, really, really good to hear. Interesting that we kind of represented the team with those 3 players that weren't obviously Jeff. So Jeff's obviously the coach, but Solomon is like the flair guy, and there's a couple of players who have flair and a bit of invention about them. Aaron is the senior figure, the head, the stability, and Chris is that sort of in between, that solid, still physically very able, but has a bit more of a mature head on the shoulders. We sort of captured the team in those 3 players in. I think that's really, really interesting. Quakers Tigers have already been on the podcast once tonight. Let's go chat to their girls, who are on for the 4th time at the halfway point of the season already. As you're about to discover, they've gone from losing 14-0 to Kellyville Colts to losing 5-1 in the first round of the season to now only losing 2-1 and having possibly the chance to have equalised and made it 2-2 with seconds to go in the game. So, we're going to discuss the rapid ascension of Quakers Tigers and what a game against Holroyd could look like this weekend. Once again back at Patterson Reserve for the 4th time at the halfway point of the season. This is a team that is popular in the Women's Premier League match of the round. Maddie Steele joins us for the first time. Jess Taylor is back for her 2nd appearance, and Brandon Kemp, since his absence on the field, has taken up a pretty good position off of it for both the men's and women's senior space. Jess is holding the microphone, so we're going to go to her and we're going to talk about the most recent match of the round, that 1-1 draw with Norwest. I think the theme of what I want to talk about in this podcast is fight back and spirit. In the 2 matches that have happened since you were last on here, you guys have come from a goal down to draw, and then against Kellyville Colts you guys were beaten, but that is a very good, very established and an older average age team. So talk to me about Norwest coming back, scoring a goal with 20 minutes to go, and what that was like.
Yeah, I think as a team, as a club, we're very good at having a never die attitude. 1-0 down, it sort of gives us the opportunity to equal it. I don't think it was a good reflection of the game. I think we deserve to be up a little bit more, if I'm completely honest. But it is just working on that extra little bit of being able to finish. Taryn's working with us to be able to perfect that at the moment, because we know that's probably where we lack a little bit. But yeah, we just got to make sure that we're putting in the work. We never give up on the field. Just make sure we keep on going.
There's a sort of spirit that was being shown last year as well, but now that there is a bit more resilience and fitness and skill sets, it's grown as this young player group has developed and had the time to implement it. It's showing with results now, which I think is a really impressive thing. A chance still to pick up points in the match of the round this weekend as well, but I just want to talk about the Kellyville Colts game, as I mentioned. Yes, it was a 2-1 loss, but there was a couple of chances to get some points out of that one, and that is a really, really good team to come up against. So to go from 5-1 at the start of the year in the match around against them to then coming into a 2-1 where it could have been 2-2, what does that tell you about the progression you guys have made in just the last couple of weeks? Yeah,
I think that's testament to Taryn as a coach, to all of the other coaches that help us, to Kempy especially, who does help us during the training days. They've implemented a program whereby we are able to develop, and like you said, even from last year, I remember round 1 against Kellyville was 14-0. To then round 1 this year was 5-0, to take it to 2-1 is incredible. And that's a full testament to every one of the coaches and everyone that works with us, just to hone in on the skills that we need to work on and then making sure we're implementing it on the field.
That's also against the Kellyville team, who results would suggest would actually started this season quite slow and have improved as the season's gone on. So for them to have gotten better and you to have had a result like that, yes, I know there's no points, but I think it's about the intangibles that you have to mention when it comes to games like this and with the project you guys have. Kempy, I'll get you to grab that mic. Maddie will get you on in just a sec. I know you've had a lot of time from the sideline this year, and that's unfortunate for you, but you have a perspective that these girls don't have, which is to be able to see it in action and to see it come from training to game day. Even in just the last couple of weeks, what do you think? Are there small incremental changes that you've noticed, even just very recently?
Yeah, look, overall I think we could say that
every game we're making progress. We've obviously had a few games this season where probably haven't been at our best, but overall we've definitely held ourselves a lot more accountable this year and tried to match these better teams. And I think the next step for us over these next few weeks is to try and step up when we're sort of playing teams around us and impose ourselves on them. But even in the short time this year, like I said already, from the Colts games, like we were well in that game on the weekend, and we had people playing out of position. We had few players that were on holiday, so we were pretty short. So every week we're making progress and changing things, and like I said, trying to implement things every week to help progress the girls, and they take everything on that we give them very well, so they're only going to get better.
Manny, welcome to the podcast. One of the young'uns you represent here tonight, a young crop that is coming through in this Quakers team, and will be able to do something not just now, but into the future for many, many years to come. And that's a great thing to be able to hold. What do you think, as an 18-year-old yourself who has come through the 21 system, how fast have you noticed your own sort of progression this season? And from last to this, how do you think you've developed as a player personally?
Yeah, obviously it was a hard transition going from the 21s to WPL. It's obviously a very different comp, especially playing in a comp last year that we didn't have many teams, we didn't have many other competitors. I felt like it was really good. All the girls were very welcoming. I've obviously grown up around all of these girls, so it was an enjoyable time to come through and play amongst them now, rather than watching them from the sideline. And I feel like everyone was so welcoming. Everyone's so happy for all of us to come through, and I feel like they're just improving on all of our skills.
I can't speak to what everybody else is doing around the WPL because there is also so many teams now. I know Colts, your Quakers Hill rivals in juniors, and maybe Holroyd as well have a couple of feeder teams. I think you guys are the ones who are doing it from the absolute grassroots level, along with juniors actually, which is a really, really awesome thing for this part of Blacktown, certainly. But in terms of what you have sort of noticed from the difference between junior to WPL football, what's that step up in terms of actually playing or even physically? What's it like?
Obviously it's just physicality. It's a very different physical game out there. Skill level, it's definitely different because our 21s comp in Blacktown is not very strong, so it's a very big change going into a Women's Premier League comp that we're competing against teams like the Hills teams who are a very strong comp as well. But I feel like me, alongside with all the girls, we have 4 girls coming in from 18s every week, they've all stepped up very well, and they're just learning from all of us around them, and especially the older girls like Jess, like Elise, Tash. The transition was very easy in this club.
What do you think will happen in the next couple of years as these girls, including yourself, continue to go? What do you think is the potential?
Oh, well, obviously we have quite strong girls that are younger, so I feel like our squad's just going to get stronger. With all the girls coming through, there's nothing but strength coming through, and it shows now that we have 4 girls on this team. One of them's already scored 2 goals in our WPL comp this year at the age of 16, so we've got a lot of strength coming through. I think it'll be good.
Kempi, I just want to look ahead to the match of the round this weekend. It should be a tough one. Obviously, come up against a team that are quite good in Holroyd, but the reality is that they've had 2 points taken off them for the first time all season in the match of the round just gone by against another Blacktown team. So obviously, you shouldn't look at other people's results as taking heart or taking motivation from it, but strike while the iron is hot, right?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, every game in football, there's always a chance of something happening. We know that Holroyd are a very good team, and they have been for a few years. So we know that it's not going to be easy at all, and we're not going in there thinking it's going to be a walk in the park by any stretch of imagination. Look, we're just hoping to hold a good account of ourselves and make sure that people know that we're trying to improve, and we're going to get up that table, hopefully.
Thanks very much to Kempi, Jess Taylor and to Maddie Steele for giving us a great little wrap of what's been happening in just the short couple of weeks since we last spoke to them on the podcast. It's great to see the progression happening incrementally now and week on week, as Kempi mentioned himself. Girls, good luck this weekend against a powerhouse, but if anyone can do it, it looks like it's becoming one of these Blacktown teams to take points off them. And thanks very much for being here tonight.
Thank you.
It is impossible not to be proud of what that Quakers Tigers team is doing. And off the back of Ponds winning their first game of the season, again, who knows how the WPL could finish? Who will finish at the bottom? Who will finish just outside the top 4? It is going to be so interesting. And at this point, now with Holroyd dropping, or only getting 2 points from their last available 6, what is that going to do for the title race now? It's now right back on. The mid-season review podcast is just totally rendered as bull. Saturday night, 7 p.m, Blacktown Football Park. Rug up and I will see you there. If not, tune into the live stream and have your heater on and say hello in the live chat. Jack Bergman, I will see you there. And as well, on Sunday, 3 p.m, Holroyd is the host. Granville is the host, but support the Quakers Tigers Blacktown girls, and we'll see you then. Don't forget to like the video. If you are a liker of the video, we know that you're enjoying what you see, so we create and put in more effort to give you great content. Leave a like. It's the most important part of this whole thing, and I'll see you next time. Cue the outro music. But it's fallen here towards Icon!
Oh my word.
And now played and struck and in! Further forward now to Ryan Dominici! Wants a second goal. Isabel Greb should have a second goal and finishes with ease.